I am Brigadier General de Leon, the Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations J3. And on behalf of the Chief of Staff, Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Gregorio P.O.P. Katapang Jr., I will be presenting a brief on the Mamasapano incident. The scope of my presentation is as shown. The background will cover a brief description of the Western Mindanao Command Area of Responsibility, the Joint Task Forces under its operational control, a snapshot of the current activities, the area of incident, and the forces operating thereat. It will also show the mechanisms available for coordination, and it will be followed by the significant events and corresponding actions taken by the armed forces. The Western Mindanao Command Area of Responsibility consists of the whole of Region 9, parts of Region 10, parts of Region 12, and the whole of the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. It is composed of 12 provinces of 240 municipalities and 14 cities, with a total land area of 51,000 square kilometers, and it has a population of around 10.4 million people as of the calendar year 2010 census. The Western Mindanao Command has 3 joint task forces, namely Joint Task Force Sambasulta, Joint Task Force Zambelan, and Joint Task Force Central. Joint Task Force Sambasulta covers the islands of Basilan, Sulu, Tawi-Tawi, and the city of Zamboanga. Currently, operations are ongoing to address the Abu Sayyaf group and other lawless elements, target hardening efforts to deter bombings and other violent actions. Joint Task Force Sampelan, or the 1st Infantry Division, covers Zamboanga Peninsula, Misamis Occidental, Lanao Norte, and parts of Lanao del Sur. It is currently focusing on internal security operations against lawless elements and the New People's Army in its area of operation. Joint Task Force Central, or the 6th Infantry Division, covers Maguindanao, parts of North Cotabato, Sultan Kudarat, parts of Lanao Sur, and the cities of Tacurong and Cotabato, including Mamasapano Municipality and other areas of MILF communities. Lately, it has conducted operations to secure North Cotabato, Maguindanao, and parts of Sultan Kudarat against the BIFF and the security of the power transmission lines. The area of incident. Before I proceed with my briefing, let me first orient this august body about the prominent landmarks in the general area that covers the area of incident. On the far north is Cotabato City. Beside it, adjacent to the headquarters of the 6th Infantry Division, is the Cotabato City Airport. And extending down south from Cotabato City is the Cotabato-Sarif Aguac Road towards the municipality of Isulan, parallel to the Pan-Philippine Highway that passes along Tacurong City at the southernmost portion. The area of incident is generally a flat area in Mamasapano, Maguindanao. It is 43 kilometers aerial distance southeast of headquarters of the 6th Infantry Division in Awang, Datu Odin Sinsuat, Maguindanao, 36 kilometers aerial distance northwest of headquarters of the 601st Brigade at Tacurong City, 11 kilometers aerial distance northeast of the 1st Mechanized Brigade headquarters, and 12 kilometers aerial distance east of the headquarters of the 45th Infantry Battalion. The municipality of Mamasapano is a former barangay of Aguac, and by virtue of Republic Act 27 April 1997, issued on 02 December 1998, it is created as the 11th municipality in the second. It is categorized as the 5th-class municipality, and per 2010 census, it has a population of around 22,000 people in 4,000 households. The mayor is Datu Benzar Ampatuan. It is subdivided into 15 barangays, which includes the barangays of Tucanalipao and Pinsadawan, the site of the 25th January incidents. 45th Infantry Battalion is the infantry battalion that covers the Mamasapano area. It has 3 maneuver companies, with its Bravo Company as the most proximate to the incident area at more or less 5 kilometers away. And shown are the disposition of proximate AFP forces to the area of incident. Shown is the disposition of the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters Forces, or BIFF, in the area, with 145 fighters and an equal number of firearms. There are also 70 reported private armed groups in the area, with 80 firearms. Likewise, 15 MNLF fighters with 15 firearms camp in the area as shown. The 105th Base Command of the MILF, with 162 fighters and an equal number of firearms under Ustad Zakaria Guma, is also located at the vicinity of the Mamasapano area. And so with the 106th Base Command of the MILF, with 132 fighters and 112 firearms. In the same area is based the 118th Base Command of the MILF, with 112 fighters and an equal number of firearms. In totality, the vicinity of Mamasapano is a lair to 631 fighters with 626 firearms from 4 different groups which coexist in that complex. On coordinating mechanisms. The first coordinating mechanism is governed by the implementing operational guidelines of the GRP-MILF Agreement on the Cessation of Hostilities signed on 14 November 1997. Article 2, Actions exempted from cessation of hostilities. Police and military actions and administrative logistics activities shall continue to be undertaken by the GRP throughout Mindanao and the entire country. In the pursuit thereof, confrontational situations between the GRP and the MILF forces shall be avoided by prior coordination with the latter. These actions include but are limited to the following: peacekeeping and police actions, and defensive or protective actions of the GRP and MILF to ensure the security of its forces, facilities, installations, equipment, and lines of communication, and the safety and tranquility of civil government and population. The next document is the implementing guidelines on the joint communique of 06 May 2002. And part of the document are the mechanics of implementation. The Ad Hoc Joint Action Group, or AJAG, shall coordinate with the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police and the MILF and BIAF to effect the apprehension and arrest of suspected criminal elements. To avoid unnecessary armed confrontations, the displacement of communities and damage to properties, the Tactical Operations Center of Tactical Command Post of the Government Operating Forces and with MILF forces in the area shall work and coordinate closely with the Ad Hoc Joint Action Group and vice versa. And except for operations against high-priority targets, a list of which shall be provided by the GPH Peace Panel to the MILF panel. The AJAG shall inform the GRP and the MILF CCCH at least 24 hours prior to the conduct of AFP-PNP operations in order to allow sufficient time for the evacuation of civilians and to avoid armed confrontation between the GPH and MILF forces. The third document is the Joint Implementing Rules and Regulations to Executive Order 546, Series of 2006, directing the PNP to undertake active support to the AFP in internal security operations for the suppression of insurgency and other threats to national security. General principles: PNP units may either operate as a part of a joint AFP-PNP force or as a single force in the conduct of combat operations subject to the following. When operating jointly with the Armed Forces of the Philippines, Task PNP unit shall be attached or placed under the operational control of the AFP unit with operational responsibility of the area of operation. When operating independently as a single force, PNP units shall take orders from its parent unit, but must coordinate with the nearest tactical unit of the Armed Forces of the Philippines to ensure a coordinated and focused operations in the particular area. The AFP unit that has operational responsibility over the area of operations shall be furnished with the PNP unit's operational plan and after operations report. We will be hearing the word coordination in parts of the presentation. Let me present a doctrinal definition of coordination. Coordination is the exchange of information to inform and integrate, synchronize, and deconflict operations. Coordination is not necessarily a process of gaining approval, but is most often used for mutual exchange of information. Field Manual 101-5-1, Operational Terms and Graphics. Another definition of coordination, the act of informing a department or person of a course of action so that he can either fit his own actions into the proposed course of action or take steps to modify the proposed course of action to make it fit into his own. The function of integrating efforts of search and rescue facilities for a concerted and harmonized execution of SAR missions in an effective and economical manner, and an act of organizing, making different people and agencies work together for a goal or effect to fulfill desired goals in an organization. AFP Glossary of Military Terms. Chronology of events. In the early morning of January 25, 2015, the AFP started receiving information regarding the PNP SAF Law Enforcement Operation or LEO at Mamasapano, Maguindanao. At around 5:28 a.m., the G3 or the Operations Officer of the 6th Infantry Division, Lieutenant Colonel Hambala, received a call from Senior Superintendent De La Rosa about the operation of the PNP SAF. G36ID in turn contacted the operations officer of the 601st Brigade to inquire whether the SAF has made coordination about the law enforcement operation at Mamasapano, of which the latter answered in the negative. At around 5:37 a.m., the chairman of the GPH AJAG, Brigadier General Orense, received a call from Police Director Napeñas regarding the conduct of law enforcement operations of the PNP SAF, that they will conduct operations in Barangay Pitsandawan targeting Marwan. Immediately, Chairman GPH Ajag called the Police Director of Maguindanao Provincial Police Office to confirm if he knew the PNP SAF law enforcement operation, and the latter replied in the negative. Chairman GPH Ajag thereafter tried to contact his counterpart in the MILF through cell phone, but could not reach the latter. Chairman GPH Ajag then called Commander 601st Brigade, asking if he knew the PNP SAF operations. Colonel Feliciano replied that he has no knowledge about these current operations of the PNP SAF. Chairman GPH Ajag then told Colonel Feliciano to provide assistance to the PNP SAF. At around 5:42 a.m., 5 minutes after his first call, Police Director Napenas called again the Chairman GPH Ajag that they are withdrawing and asked if they could be provided with assistance. At around 5:48 a.m., the commander of the 45th Infantry Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Bautista, was informed by his intelligence officer about an ongoing firefight at Mamasapano. The commanding officer of the 45th Infantry Battalion immediately directed his staff and unit commanders to validate the information and alerted his forces. At around 6 o'clock a.m., the commander of the 6th Infantry Division, Major General Panglinan, read in his cell phone the SMS sent by Police Director Napeñas at 5:06 a.m. regarding the conduct of law enforcement operation at Barangay Tucanalipao, Mamasapano, Maguindanao. The text says, and I quote, "Ed, good AM. For your info, on January 25, 2015, at about 02:30, PNP staff supported by Maguindanao Police Provincial Office, Police Regional Office Arm, shall be conducting LEO and serve warrant of arrest, or WA, against high-value targets in Mamasapano, Maguindanao. Troops are underway. Coordination was also done with CO 1st MEC and 45th IB, unquote. Commander 6th Infantry Division subsequently relayed this information to Commander Western Mindanao Command at 6:11 a.m. and asked Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade and Commander 45th IB at around 6:11 a.m. and 6:12 a.m. respectively if the PNP staff operations is coordinated with them. At 6:04 a.m., Commander West Mincom received a call from Police Deputy Director General Espina, officer in charge of the Philippine National Police, regarding the staff encounter in Maguindanao, needing assistance and support. At around 6:05 and 6:06 a.m., Commander West Mincom received two text messages from Police Director General Purisima requesting if he can call. At around 6:07 a.m., Commander West Mincom called Commander 6th Infantry Division and inquired if he knew anything about the ongoing law enforcement operation of the PNP staff. Commander 6ID replied that he was only informed through SMS by Police Director Napeñas, sent at about 5:06 a.m., but only read at about 6 a.m. Commander West Mincom then asked Commander 6ID to forward the SMS from Police Director Napeñas and gave him guidance to provide support to the staff. At around 6:09 a.m., Commander West Mincom called Police Director General Purisima in response to his SMS and asked about his concern. Police Director General Purisima mentioned about the LEO of the staff and that he is requesting support from the AFP units in the area. At around 6:10 a.m., Police Director Napeñas called Commander West Mincom, who mentioned about their LEO and that his troopers were already engaged and he was asking for support from the AFP units in Mamasapano. Commander West Mincom informed him that Commander 6ID was already aware and was already advised to provide assistance. At around 6:12 a.m., Commander 6th ID called Colonel Del Rosario, the commander of the 1st Mechanized Brigade, to check if the PNP staff coordinated with him on their operations in Mamasapano. At around 6:13 a.m., Commander 6ID called Commander 45th Infantry Battalion if the PNP staff coordinated with him regarding the conduct of LEO in Mamasapano. Commander 45th IB replied no coordination was made on him, even when a certain Inspector Santos dropped by at Headquarters Bravo Company in Barangay Nabundas. Commander 45th IB further informed Commander 6ID that local officials of Mamasapano reported that they heard gunfire in the area. Commander 6ID instructed Commander 45th IB to monitor and take appropriate action. Commander 45th IB organized troops and later at around 6:30 a.m. deployed one fire team at Meta Bridge, one CAA squad at Round Ball of Poblacion Sarif Agwak, and one squad officer-led at Sitio Bagong, Barangay Timbangan in Sarif Agwak, Maguindanao. At around 6:18 a.m., Police Director Napeñas forwarded Commander 6ID with the following SMS, quote, "For Chief PNP from Director SAF, na-engage SAF troops doon malapit Ilog, 2 kilometers east of Barangay Tuconalipao, Golf Charlie 67983-65714. Bandang gitna, going to target, sir." Unquote. Commander 6ID replied, quote, "Copy," unquote. At around 6:19 a.m., Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade forwarded a copy of an SMS to Commander 6th ID, quote, "Sir, I checked my cell with this text from General Talino at about 5:20 a.m. Hener, good a.m. Sorry to disturb you at this early morning. Andito kami General Napeñas sa area. For your info, on January 25, 2015 at about 02:30, PNP SAF supported by Maguindanao PPO, PRO Arm shall be conducting law enforcement operation and serve warrant of arrest against high-value targets in Mamasapano, Maguindanao. Troops are underway. Coordination is being made with Division Commander 6ID, unquote. At around 6:30 a.m., Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade informed Commander 6ID via SMS, quote, Sir, may sporadic fires at vicinity Barangay Tuka, Mamasapano, about 7 to 8 kilometers from Poblacion Aguac. About 5 a.m. kanina as reported by civilians. We checked with 45th IB. It's not their operations. We checked with PNP Aguac. They said it's PNP SAF NCR operations, unquote. Commander 6ID instructed Commander 1st Mechanized Infantry Brigade, quote, pakicheck with Maguindanao PPO kung ano effort nila, unquote. At around 6:33 a.m., Commander 6ID instructed Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade to be prepared to provide reinforcement. Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade replied, quote, noted, sir. We have alerted units here at Brigade Headquarters, unquote. At around 6:39 a.m., Commander 601 Brigade directed Commander 45th IB to mobilize route security from Sarif Aguac to the vicinity of Barangay Tuka, Mamasapano. Commander 45th IB organized forces and later deployed one squad as route security at RMG, Barangay Maig, and one section at Barangay Iganampong. At around 6:44 a.m., Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade received a phone call from Superintendent Mangahis of PNP SAF informing that their troops were engaged in Mamasapano. Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade asked on who authorized them to conduct operation in that area, and if ever, did they seek clearance from Headquarters 6th ID? Superintendent Mangahis was silent and did not answer the query. Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade instructed Superintendent Mangahis to report at the old Capitol compound in Sarif Aguac to give a briefing on the situation in the area of their operation and the location of the PNP SAF troops. At around 6:48 a.m., Chairman GPH Ajag again called Attorney Abdul Dataya of the MILF Ajag, but the phone just kept on ringing. At around 6:50 a.m., Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade texted Commander 6th ID, quote, Sir, tumawag just now, PNP SAF, Superintendent Mangahis, Operation Officer nila. May mga wounded daw sa supporting effort 2 units in Barangay Tuka, hindi maka-extricate. They need help sa extraction. I told him to report to Brigade Headquarters so we can devise extraction plan ASAP, sir, unquote. Commander 6ID replied, quote, keep me posted, unquote. At around 7:15 a.m., Chief Superintendent Talino and Superintendent Mangahis arrived at Headquarters 1st Mechanized Brigade and gave a briefing on the situation and location of their engaged troops. The acting operations officer of the 45th Infantry Battalion also joined the conference 5 minutes later. At around 7:27 a.m., Commander 6ID called Chairman GPH Ajag if he talked already with his counterpart. The latter informed that he called the phone of Attorney Dataya but still cannot make a connection. At around 7:28 a.m., Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade sent an SMS to Commander 6ID, quote, Sir, Superintendent Mangahas updated me sa operation nila. 2 groups nila were still inside Barangay Tuka engaged in sporadic fires with lawless as of now. My plan is, 1. Move mechanized infantry with 8 armored vehicles to control highway ng Mamasapano. 2. Insert mechanized infantry and DRC to augment PNP at SAF extraction point and to provide supporting fires sa pinned down SAF. 3. Utilize 105 artillery, if approved by Commander 6ID, to disrupt lawless firing at SAF, pinned down as of now, about 500 meters from SAF position. Request guidance, sir, unquote. Commander 6ID informed Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade, quote, okay, Good ang number 1 and number 2 plan, but number 3 plan about the artillery is hold until we have complete details of the firefight, unquote. Subsequently, Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade task organized his troops. At around 7:30 a.m., Major Sol of the GPH-CCCH called Mr. Hovland of the International Monitoring Team, or IMT, to join in forming the Joint Ceasefire Crisis Team. Thereafter, the organization of the JCCT started. At around 7:31 a.m., Chairman GPH Ajag received a call from Chairman MILF Ajag. The former asked if the latter could take action on the situation. Chairman MILF Ajag said he will call Darapanan. At around 8:20 a.m., Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade deployed Army forces composed of 1 light armor platoon of 4 armored vehicles, 1 mechanized section of 2 armored vehicles, 1 section of the 62nd Division Reconnaissance Company, and 1 explosive ordnance disposal team to secure main supply route from Sharif Agwak to Barangay Tucanalipao, Mamasapano, and to provide suppressive fires if warranted. Likewise, another section of the 62nd DRC was tasked to establish and secure extrication point 300 meters above the position of combined army forces, which should be dedicated to reinforce and recover the elements of the 55th SAC heavily engaged by the enemy at Barangay Tucanalipao. Superintendent Mangahis rode 1 of the armored vehicles of the 23rd Mechanized Company to guide the Army reinforcing troops. At around 9 a.m., Joint Ceasefire Crisis Team composed of representatives from the GPH, CCCH, MILF CCCH, Joint Ceasefire Monitoring Post of Kitango, and the International Monitoring Team assembled at the IMT headquarters in Cotabato City. They then started to move to Barangay Kuloy, Sharif Agwak, Maguindanao, to meet with Ustads Zakaria Guma, the base commander of the 105th Base Command, BIAF MILF, and Ustads Wahid Tundok, base commander of the 118th Base Command, BIAF MILF. At around 9:20 a.m., troops of the 23rd Mechanized Company, 14th Mechanized Company, and the 62nd DRC tried to link up with elements of the 55th SAC but failed because there is no contact and communication to them, and it was an open field. At around 9:30 a.m., Commander of the 6th ID called Chairman GPH-CCCH and Chairman GPH Ajag and invited them to join the meeting with his battle staff. At around 10:40 a.m., combined troops of the 23rd Mechanized Company, 62nd DRC, and the PNP SAF, while trying to link up with the 55th SAC, were fired upon. The troops held their ground. At around 10:52 a.m., 2 UH-1H helis arrived at Tog 12 Awang, Dato Odin Sinswat, Maguindanao, from the headquarters of the 1st Infantry Division, Philippine Army, which was directed by Commander Western Mindanao Command for possible casualty evacuation. At around 10:54 a.m., Commander 6ID forwarded the message to Police Director Napeñas, the message from Chairman GPH CCCH, quote, "Sir, lumagpas na sa Talayan sila Butch Malang with our ceasefire committee. Within 30 to 45 minutes, doon na sila sa area, sir. We advised them to ceasefire," unquote. At around 11 a.m., reconfiguration of forces was effected to augment the Army reinforcing troops to PNP SAF. Commander 601 Brigade directed the 33rd IB to release operational control of 62nd DRC and move them from present location to Barangay Badak, General S.K. Pandatun, to the 1st Mechanized Brigade in Sharif Agwak. At around 11:08 a.m., Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade sent an SMS to Commander 6ID, quote, "Sir, latest location ng pin-down SAF groups with wounded is at Golf Charlie 6830-6550, open area about 1.2 kilometers na lang from the highway Mamasapano. Nearest SAF team reached 700 meters already from highway. 62nd DRC with SAF body team at 300 meters from highway, Sporadic fires can still be heard from northwest portion of SAF position, 200 meters from their location. Progress report to follow, unquote. Commander 6ID asked, quote, so, wala pa na evac? Unquote. Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade replied, quote, negative pa evac as of now. UNSAF at 700 meters is still assessing the open area before they proceed sa pinned-down SAF teams, unquote. At around 11:31 a.m., Commander 45th IB called Police Superintendent Mangaldan regarding their requirements for tactical support, and the latter replied that they cannot yet determine the requirements from the AFP. At around 11:45 a.m., the JCCT conducted an emergency dialogue with Ustad Guma, 105th Base Command Commander, Wahid Tundok, 118th Base Command Commander, Municipal Mayor Ampatuan, Joint Ceasefire Monitoring Post Kitango members, and other officials of Mamasapano in order to facilitate the ceasefire. At around 12:15 p.m., combined Army and PNP troops were fired upon by the MILF and BIF forces located at their blocking position west of the main road in Tucanalipao. At around 12:42 p.m., Commander 1st Mech Brigade sent an SMS to Commander 6ID, quote, Sir, tumawag si Major Sol of GPH CCCH that talks upam of the MILF CCCH and IMT GPH CCCH members of 3 vehicles will proceed to ACP ng SAF at Mamasapano to coordinate ceasefire and get the wounded SAF in the area. I coordinated everything about their arrival sa ground commander ng SAF para details ng talks and ceasefire nila with 105th Base Command MILF who are surrounding the wounded SAF. Unquote. Commander 6ID replied, okay, good. At around 12:45 p.m., Chairman GPH CCCH called Police Director Napenas and asked if they had already withdrawn from the area. He reported that they cannot withdraw yet as the SAF troops are still subjected to heavy fires. At around 1:10 p.m., the JCCT arrived at the TCP of 4th SAF Battalion at Barangay Tuca, Mamasapano, and talked to Police Superintendent Mangaldan. However, the TCP was harassed, resulting to disabling of front wheel tires of 3 Simba armored vehicles. During that time, Chairman GPH CCCH and Chairman GPH Ajag joined the Commander 6ID and his battle staff for a meeting. They then discussed on how to facilitate the resolution of the crisis. Co-located na yung DRC with wheeled armored vehicles sa highway now para wala muna putukan. CCCH and IMT in the area now. As effort for ceasefire progresses, elements from DRC and SAF team were advised by Commander 1st Mechanized Brigade to relocate to the nearby highway to stop being fired upon. Meanwhile, Commander 601st Brigade established a TCP at the Maguindanao Provincial Capital and conducted a briefing on the concept of the rescue operation. At around 4 p.m., total ceasefire took effect. At that time, volunteers and vehicles have been mobilized for the retrieval of casualties. Likewise, Commander 45th IB organized and briefed his troops for the retrieval operation. At around 5:15 p.m., PNP SAF reported that their main effort was still subjected to intense volume of fire. It was the first time that the 6th Infantry Division and CCC coordinating ceasefire mechanisms learned that there is another engaged SAF group, which was the 84th SAC. Chairman GPH CCCH informed MILF CCCH about the issue. MILF CCCH responded that MILF forces have already pulled out and that the 84th SAC is in the BIFF-controlled area. At around 5:30 p.m., combined troops started to move for the rescue extrication operations. Combined elements of Bravo Company 45th IB, 62nd DRC, 61st DRC, and one section of the 46th SAC crossed the line of departure to augment the 45th SAC. Likewise, joint elements of the 61st DRC and a platoon of PNP SAF proceeded to link up and rescue the 84th SAC seaborne in the encountered site, Barangay Tuca. At around 5:35 p.m., Police Director Napeñas requested for artillery fires. 6th ID delivered 3 artillery rounds of white phosphorus as marking and reference. High explosive HE rounds were not delivered due to danger close, as advised by his fire support officer. While delivering fires, the Joint Army and PNP elements are moving into position to rescue the 84th SAC respectively. The rescue and extrication of engaged SAF troops started at around 7:30 p.m. The Joint CCCH, IMT, together with the LGU of Mamasapano, extricated 5 cadavers from the 55th SAC. As combined AFP and PNP forces linked up and rescued 84th SAC, they were able to rescue 17 unharmed members of the 84th SAC, retrieved 8 killed in action, and safely extricated 11 wounded in action with their equipment intact. The following day, the recovery and extrication of engaged SAF troops continued at around 9:50 in the morning. The joint CCCH, IMT, and LGU Mamasapano recovered 14 KIA. Another 15 KIA were recovered at around 12:28 p.m. and 1 KIA was recovered at around 12:46 p.m., all belonging to the 55th SAC. One survivor from the 55th SAC was rescued by Bravo Company of 45th IB at around 2:10 p.m. A total of 43 recovered KIAs were brought to headquarters 6th ID, while the WIAs were taken to nearby hospitals. At around 2:36 p.m. in the afternoon, the operation was concluded. All PNP staff pulled out from the general area of incident, and at around 3:45 p.m., all Army troops pulled out from the general area of incident. At 5 p.m., one staff WIA expired at the Integrated Hospital Office, bringing the total KIA to 44 with 11 WIA. That ends the brief. Your Honors, thank you.